Hi, my name is Jerome Bradford. This is my music journal where we explore music album by album.
So let's just jump right into it.
Strong, solidified statistic.
This weekend in Jerome's music journal, we are discussing the Doobie Brothers album, minute by minute, and just the way the band evolved on that album. Would you like to add anything to that, Nate?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it is going to probably be based more on like the narrative structure of it, like the influence and how it's impacted my life and many others out there and relevance and things like that, rather than strong, solidified statistics. The stats are there for this album. It's a legendary one. It's in the records. A very notorious album, I would say.
Yeah, okay. In my research of the album, I noticed there's a lot of just funky and like odd time signatures and just that's really different that the band kind of did when Michael McDonald joined. You know, you told me to listen to the song, listen to the music before this one, how that changes from this. To me, it almost sounds like two different bands. Listen to the music is very, I was saying that country rock realm, where very down south type of rock, and this is very funky, which matches Michael McDonald's voice very well, complements it. Any thoughts to that?
Yeah, so the huge thing here is minute by minute was, I think, one of the first albums that Michael worked with the Doobie Brothers for a little bit over a few years, sort of thing. He worked with Steely Dan and did backing vocals for them too. But this was his hit off, and you could totally tell when I said, "Hey, listen to the music." You could tell that's Tom Johnston, which was the original lead vocalist for the Doobie Brothers, and he ended up getting really sick, and so that's when Mr. Michael McDonald came around, and you can just tell, you could just totally tell his influence. It completely changed their route, but it ultimately led to their biggest hit, "What a Fool Believes," which is on this album, and you could just tell the absolute difference. How crazy is that you can have a successful band that's already great with acoustic guitars and bluegrass sounding kind of things going on, and then it just shifts to they just open the door to a whole nother audience through the same band, and we're successful in doing so. And you don't see that happening all the time.
Yeah, that's very rare to do. You don't have many bands, like you said, that do that in history. I think one of the reasons you do is because your fan base is so set. I think, it's not when a band is successful after that, you hear people talk about the effects and amazing, but people don't realize how hard it is to break from that core fan base, because that core fan base has defined you and expect something for you. And a lot of times, even in that, it just doesn't go off well. This is a case where it went off very well.
It went super well, and I'm not sure. They built a relationship. They did a tour for about a year when they had because when Tom got sick, they had Michael McDonald come on tour for about a year or so. And I don't think any of them really had in their minds or brains thinking that Michael would be, even Michael himself said that he wouldn't be the face or like the one that revolutionizes or changes like they didn't, it wasn't necessarily intentional until that it sprouted about. It seemed like a natural shift and a natural change in the band, but the sound of it, it's like, if you're in it, let's say you're in a country band, right? I'm not saying Jerome is a big country band guy, but let's say Jerome is, in a country band, and some guy comes along. He's got a nice resume. He's got a portfolio. Cool guy, everyone kind of enjoys his presence, and he just starts singing. and you're like, hey, okay, you can come around for a bit, but then he just changes the entire sound of the group, and everybody's okay with it. Like, it takes a very
Yeah.
special guy, a very special someone to make that happen successfully.
Mm. Mm.
And
All
Michael
right.
did just that.
And
Michael did just that.
yeah, pulled it off well. Pulled it off well. Now you were saying too that this album kind of is relevant in your life. What songs do you identify with? And is there a special one?
You know, I would say when it comes to like nowadays, and I'm thinking what I think is amazing about this album, and this could go for many others. This could go for episode 1 with Pet Sounds. People listen to it today still. It's very influential still. But I really do enjoy Minute by Minute in a sense that there's this
Mhm.
grounded, it didn't lay a groundwork, but there's a specific and broad audience that it's still rooted and grounded with even today with Minute by Minute. I know, you know, I would used to go on the lake with my family. My mother would have her speaker in a Ziploc bag on the lake, and she'd be playing the Doobie Brothers. It's like that's what
Yeah.
she played, and I'm just listening to it like, yeah, okay, cool. I didn't really embrace it until I discovered it myself, and I remember just driving, listening to the music and listening to the album, and I'm like, this is just something crazy, you know? It's from 1978. And
Yeah.
you know, I just opened my eyes of what's really out there, and it's crazy. It's still relevant today that you can
Yeah,
feel the music
definitely.
and feel it in.
I mean, you kind of see traces in it of um, Blue Eye Soul or bands that blend funk and rock very well, because it's definitely has some elements of funk below too. So
Definitely does, and a lot of that is from Michael McDonald's kind of
yeah,
style, his
yeah,
hoppity, skippity,
yeah,
bounciness on the
yeah,
piano, and
yeah,
the album opens up to that
yeah,
right away, and here, you know, in here to love you, you know, like
yeah,
the opening song is like it's bouncing around, it's like got you on
yeah,
your toes, and that's just kind of
yeah,
Michael's style, and
yeah,
he does that right off the bat, man.
yeah. And you don't think of funk kind of being associated with the piano a lot. It's been used a lot in rock history, but you don't associate the piano with funk. And Michael McDonald is one of those people that blended those two kind of polar opposites that you wouldn't think would fit.
Hmm. Absolutely. And you feel it throughout the album, man. I mean, it opens it up that way. The second song is What a Fool Believes, which is he wrote that with Kenny Loggins. Kenny Loggins is
Yeah,
accountable for writing Danger Zone,
yeah,
Footloose,
yeah, cool.
Caddyshack
Yeah,
theme. I
yeah,
mean, he is a legend, an absolute hit maker, as people would describe him. And the first time Kenny and Michael got together to write a song, they wrote What a Fool Believes, and that song is the second one on the album, and it hit song of the year. I mean, they hit the absolute jackpot. It is such an amazing song. I can't describe it. Again, it's hoppity skippity, but it's funky and feeling right. It's like the sound of it is just so mended together. How it came about, just two absolute geniuses came
yeah,
together with songwriting, figured something
yeah.
out.
Perfect. Hmm. It was perfect. It was. It was.
But what do you
Yeah.
take on that? Because explain your kind of take with music. And you said it was your Fish Out of Water album at first.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like you know, upon tuning into the album.
Listening to the album, I kind of gained a respect from it. Like I said, my mom played it. I had never really listened to it. I have kind of listened to the song "What a Fool Believes." That's one of the great ones. And listening to it, I was just uh really effective and admire the time and the craft that was put into it. Michael McDonald has certain sound he wanted for the album. He had a vision in his head. I was reading something that, you know, that album took a long time to record because he was hiring also other musicians to help the band, and he had a sound that he wanted. So And they say even after it was finished, he still always wonder, if he could have got it more. And that shows how much of a perfectionist he was.
Yeah. How
So
did
I
it
just,
resonate with you compared? Oh, sorry. Yeah. How did it
no, go
resonate
ahead.
with you compared to your kind of style? And what is your general favorite kind of um, genre, anyways, to you? And how did it resonate into this being like, oh,
Oh,
there's music out
well,
here. This felt
yeah,
cool or different.
um, generally I listen to a bit of everything, but I tend to stick more with like hardcore and indie rock. But even some parallels I find between those two. One of my favorite bands, Husker Du, who someday there will be a episode about them, who went from this band that just played really fast and loud to very melodic, and they're kind of seen as grandpas of alternative because they blended pop and just melody. And there's a parallel in what the Doobie Brothers did with that album. I mean, there's that parallel where Husker Du went from this hardcore band to this melodic band. You look at Doobie Brothers, who went from this country rock band to almost this jazz funk band that, adding a piano on top of that, that's a transition. That's a hell of a transition right there.
And this album does it too as it progresses through.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because I did a little listen through. I made sure before we hopped on, I recognized and
Yeah, me too.
refreshed my brain with this
Yeah.
album. And I had to put myself in the perspective of being, a person in 1978 when it was released.
Yeah.
Well, what would you do? You would buy a vinyl. That's how
Yeah.
they were tuning in. So I
Yeah.
try to put myself in that perspective of, if I was listening to this album back in the day, it's on a vinyl. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for the next song to play. I can't press skip. I can't
Yeah.
go backwards. I listen through it. And
Mm.
going through this album, it shifts, by the way, because Tom Johnston's it's crazy how they pulled it off, but they pulled the Tom Johnston style and they brought it in towards the middle. What song was it called? Don't Stop to Watch the Wheels. It is like classical rock feeling in like the Tom Johnston style that they just it's almost like it just hit you right in the middle of the album, because the first four songs or so are totally Michael McDonald inspired. The bounciness of the piano and the bass and everything going on. Michael McDonald's voice, he's the lead singer in it, and it's that smooth, feel good, some would say the yacht rock sound,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then by the fifth song, it struck me, because if I'm listening to it on a vinyl, I'm like ready for the next like Michael song, and then it popped up, Don't Stop to Watch the Wheels, and it's like they hit you with a rock song inside of the album, but it just felt right because it was the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah.
That's the gold mine right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's showing that they still can deliver that, sound if they still wanted to. And that's, a great testament of a band too, just to be able to do that, even when they were playing, we're making similarities here. Even when they were playing melodic pop, Husker Du could still just go breakneck into a hardcore song and just shred and play, blow you away with a 3-minute song.
Yeah, it's amazing, and just thinking how it progresses through. After Don't Stop the Wheels, it goes back to the Michael McDonald inspired tune and feel and sound. And then by the time it gets midway through, or actually like 3/4 of the way through the album, it starts adding both the Michael McDonald inspired kind of, I can't even put it into words. Anybody that listens to a Michael McDonald song knows you can pick up on his style. All you got to do is listen to What a Fool Believes or any of the other tunes. You can feel the two, but they started amending that with Tom Johnston's style together towards the end of the album, and they had it sound like it sounded it came together, and it's like, how do you do that? Like there's some
Yeah.
bluegrass, like rock acoustic sounds with that, and they actually mended it. What song was it? It was a Steamer Lane Breakdown. That was, and then You Never Changed through there. It was Sweet Feel, and that's what it was. Is they brought the two styles together, and it was super cool because Michael wasn't. It was Michael's style, but they had somebody else singing on it, and it mended together. Super cool.
It was.
So
It's a great album. It's definitely one that I found a new respect for. So I will be listening to it again.
yeah, and listen, see how it
Yeah.
could inspire someone nowadays. It's from
Yeah.
1978. It
Yeah.
spent 87 weeks on the Billboard Top
That's a
200, which
long
is
time.
a long time. You're thinking
Yeah.
of mainstream music or anything
Yeah.
like that. This was hitting it then,
Yeah. I actually won during the 22nd Grammys. It won Best Pop Vocal Performance by a Group or Duo.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, that's one of his accolades too. So you know,
It's an absolute testament that, like the mainstream music was totally different. It's
yeah,
revolutionized since, of course.
yeah,
Some of the mainstream music now, the top 100s consist of, R&B, hip hop, country, things like in that nature, and
mm,
just attempting to put myself in the perspective of a teenager in 1978
yeah,
or 79. And that's what, like, the chicks and the guys are like
yeah,
tuning out to on the radio,
yeah,
it's like,
definitely,
whoa,
yeah. And you can,
cool.
I think you can tell it fits with that. I guess you would say that Saturday night drive too. I mean, just pop in this album and ride, cruise around with your girlfriend or friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Michael McDonald sound, man.
you're right. So it's a unique voice. You definitely know a Michael McDonald song when you hear it by his playing style and his voice.
And you said that he was a very
Yeah,
perfectionism. He
yeah,
was really targeting that area too.
yeah, yeah.
Just,
He wanted
you
to
know,
sound a certain way. He did. He wanted to sound a certain way. So
yeah.
even after it, he still was, going back and forth with it. So
hmm That he was
yeah,
sneaking in congos in a couple songs. Like,
right,
what in the
yeah,
world is going on? What are the
yeah,
Doobie Brothers? I think
right,
there was, I don't know. I mean, who knows what the true mending and relationship was when the transition of sounds came
yeah,
about. I'm guessing, there was probably some people that loved acoustic tunes that were
yeah,
like, I'm not sure what to think about this, but it's like,
yeah,
well, Tom is sick and he's going through
yeah,
something.
yeah,
He could not perform. And then I had people like my uncle, for example. He grew up in the day, and like that was, it's still his thing. He loves the
yeah,
Doobie Brothers,
yeah,
and he would explain it like, he, Michael McDonald revitalized and saved the Doobies. Like they were like, yeah, the Doobie Brothers were falling kind of thing, going
yeah,
down. And by
yeah,
the eighth studio album, Minute by
yeah,
Minute comes out, and he completely revitalized it. So I'm
yeah,
curious what that relationship was, but
yeah. I would
it's
be curious too. I would be curious.
yeah,
I
to
think,
pull something off.
yeah. I mean, I think musicians do like to try something fun too. Not saying the Doobie Brothers weren't fun, but they like to push themselves as well to new heights or new sounds or genres. So I
Hmm.
remember reading an interview with Dave Grohl, and they asked him why did he start Foo Fighters after Nirvana, because it was just Nirvana was a very heavy, dark band at times. Yeah, they had melody, but their subject matter was pretty serious, pretty heavy. And Foo Fighters were almost seen as, especially in the early days, as like a comedy band. And Dave Grohl said, I just wanted something happy, like not heavy. I wanted
Hmm.
to try something new.
Do you think that's, possible today? And obviously it's rare. It doesn't
Oh,
always work,
work, yeah.
What's your kind of take on that? Like
Take on,
shifting your audience so
yes.
dramatically in a sense? I mean, the Nirvana
Yeah,
and Foo Fighters
so
is different, but you
definitely.
know.
So for me, you know, I feel like it can go really good or really well, and it depends on how it comes about. The two examples I always use, you heard me talk about one example before, was Husker Du, who even in their hardcore days always had melody buried in the buzz saw guitars and just, that heavy hardcore sound. So to me, that's really natural. They were one of those bands too that there were two camps in hardcore. Like either you hated classic rock, wanted no part of it, or you admired it but just didn't want to play it, or you integrated parts of it in your sound. And Husker Du was always one of those bands covering old rock songs, even covering jingles. They covered a Mary Tyler Moore theme song, which is really good. um, and then I compare that to a band like Weezer, who I feel like after Pinkerton, just totally nothing fit them after that. And I'll sum it up with this thought. When they first started, they were fun and light, of course, but they were nerdy, very quirky. First video, that Buddy Holly song was filmed in like a Happy Day style. Then you flash forward to the third album, I believe, that has Beverly Hills on it. And they're shooting videos in the Playboy Mansion. Girls are running around in bikinis. They're pouring champagne. And to me, that just doesn't feel like a natural evolution. So I think it depends on how it's done and why it's done.
How it's done and why it's done. And but that what's interesting is that is how it's done and why it's done, because could be with great intention, but
Yeah,
again, it's still going to be kind of up to the audience in a
yeah,
sense of, I mean, that's why the how is so
yeah,
important, right? Like
yeah,
how you do it.
yeah,
You don't come out and just say, hey, I'm gonna swap genres on all of you, and like your
yeah,
entire audience base could
yeah,
get wiped. Like
yeah,
something. And I know I'm being dramatic about it, but
yeah,
like it's not. It could be like that, and
yeah,
that's crazy. But
yeah,
there are things called audiences that are
yeah,
come to you because you provide some value, and when that value shifts to something else, if it was 180,
yeah,
doing that is probably has to be done very carefully. And in this
yeah,
album, it I guess maybe it seemed a little natural because Michael McDonald went on tour with them for about a
yeah,
year, and
yeah.
none of them even knew that it was gonna happen, necessarily. That wasn't their plan, was to take Michael on. Their goal was to have someone fill in so they could still play. And
Mm,
so that it was a very process over time that I
yeah,
think people that went to the concerts over that year, every single person, they understood Tom was sick and that he couldn't be there, and they understood, hey, you know Michael McDonald sounds damn good on a
yeah,
microphone with
yeah,
this band.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think the way they did it was really interesting, and it
yeah,
ended up
yeah,
working really well.
yeah. I would definitely count it as one of those things that worked for sure.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
but trying to do that nowadays, I'm
it's
thinking to
it's very
myself, like,
hard. Yeah, it's very hard. One person that we can bring into this conversation that is a current artist. Um, some people have kind of given MGK crap for his genre switch
mm,
from rap to pop punk. You know,
yeah, he's into more heavier rock stuff now
yeah,
too. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where either you're gonna love it or hate it. Uh, I listened to the album extensively. I like it, and for me, I always say the last acoustic song. Sorry, cat. This is what happens when you have a cat during a podcast. Stop. Uh, but the last song on the album is an acoustic song about his daughter and kind of wrestles with his demons. And the song, what I get from it is the perspective of, if she listened to this when he's dead from suicide or whatever addiction, and I'm like, that's a heartfelt song. I don't think he jumped into that genre just for the cash. I think he had things that he couldn't get out in the rap world, and that genre fitted it better.
Yeah, the lifestyle too, right?
Yeah.
He's one heck of a character, man.
Yeah. He's been through a lot. Like I kind of feel like people give him crap, but like the guy's been through a lot, man. Like,
Right on, man. Well, super cool that we can try to, correlate different, things that have happened previously in the past on albums like the Doobie Brothers, and kind of correlate some value or different, the structure of how they came about into today's crazy world,
Yeah, very crazy.
Yeah. And what we could try to pull out of it,
right? Yeah.
So
who knows? Maybe we'll see like Doobie Brothers inspired hip hop group someday, right?
Yeah, well, you got Thundercat doing his thing.
Yeah.
He got Michael McDonald on a song and Kenny Loggins. So there's different people. Artists like Mac DeMarco kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's like friends with Michael.
Nice.
The different people nowadays, they're this music is not sunk under, it's not a sunken ship. It's still rising, it's still floating.
Yeah. It's still
the
there.
impacts around.
Still there.
Yep.
I know you host a yacht rock show, and yacht rock is still big out there, man. There's when I'm going through op-ed pieces and articles, I swear I see about 3 yacht rock articles a month. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's really cool about the yacht rock part is that the term was coined in like 2005. So this is like way after the revolution of it.
Yeah.
But that's what's cool about it. Like it was they said the mid 70s and 80s, and the absolute definition of yacht rock is what a fool believes. You just feel it, and it's like, this is special, man. Like, wow, if it's like it's like, I just think of yacht rock in a sense of like, okay, I'm cruising down the California, Pacific Highway, and there's palm trees in the ocean, and these sounds are just kind of jumping around with the piano. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So through the radio show, we can share messages and share these tunes out to people,
Definitely.
and it's really
Add
awesome,
some
man.
musical knowledge, and maybe in turn some, people onto some new music as well. That would be good.
Absolutely, man. So tune into the Yacht Rock Radio Show every Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with Mavradio. I'm sneaking it in there.
Hey, there you go. I'll have to maybe stop in one of these Fridays and say hey.
Yeah, I'd say do it. You could come on. Actually, you could come on to the show and even hop on the air and discuss your reaction to a tune. Or two.
I got some yacht rock favorites. Key Largo is mine, man. I love
Key Largo is amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I was telling a friend, I'm like, we need to bring back Here's Looking at You, Kid, right? That old romantic line.
There's some really beautiful sounding songs out there. And but I'd like to have you on the show, and you can come there and hop on the air and share to the listeners of Mavradio, man. So and we'll keep exploring. We might do I'll have to look a little more into this influential piece of Minute by Minute to see more of the cultured impact in a whole. This is more a narrative structure of it and how it influenced me and some of the stats, which is great. But
I'm great to get your perspective on that too.
Sorry.
And I think someone can find a song to relate to on that album, no matter what you listen to, no matter what genre. Even for me, What a Fool Believes, like, hate to say I've been that guy before, or someone I've been that guy, but I'm sure people have seen a friend that's been that guy, or guess girl I know, where it's like, oh, this is not what it is. Like, this is gonna end very badly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting, the messaging that they did through that song. I mean, just thinking about the messaging there, and the way they put it into a message and then into sounds.
Yeah,
That's what I love about it,
yeah,
man. It's just the feel good, oh my goodness, it's
yeah,
very intriguing.
yeah. It is. Yeah.
So yeah, right on, man.
Mhm.
You got any other self-reflecting thoughts on the album? I might do a part two of this sometime, thinking more on a cultural level, but
Yeah, for myself reflecting, just I am just amazed by the progression of the band, amazed by the perfection they wanted on this album. The relatability on What a Fool Believes is as one of those personal songs where it's like it has some memory to me, it has some resonance in my life. So
Yeah, and it does across the board for many people. Some people have heard it anytime most people have heard it, whether at some point of their life,
yeah,
whether in a grocery store,
yeah,
subconsciously,
yeah,
it's still sneaking
right,
into their ears,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that sound is like
yeah,
on this earth, man.
right. Oh no, yeah. Maybe you should tell people to listen to this song before they go on that Tinder date, right? Everything isn't as it seems, right?
Take it in, at least get the shoulders moving, it might
Right,
just help
yeah,
the confidence out too
yeah,
for a
right,
man or woman. So
yeah. Michael McDonald. Hey, he told us long before, watch out for, unrealistic stuff, which sometimes can be tender.
yeah, it could be. So
Yeah.
that's that, man. Right on, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll close it out with just saying I absolutely love this album. You can take my word for what it's worth. This one completely, it has changed my mood on music and my take of music. And that is such a vague statement, the word music. But I changed my the genres that I listen to over the past 4 years, and it started to shift. I listened to more indie rock and today's world, and then I started hearing about their influences, and their influences were linked to
Yeah,
songs in the 70s. I
yeah,
started digging up about it, and it really turned into me completely appreciating a lot more music that's been created
yeah.
in the past, that's resulted in me even making a radio show about it. So
Nice.
it's resonated in my life. I think, tune out to it. If you need something to get your shoulders moving, this is probably an album
Yeah,
that's
this is
directing
a
towards your way. So,
yeah. Yeah. All right.
but that's a wrap in
Yeah,
my head.
yeah,
I might do part two on this and
yeah.
break,
I would be
see,
willing to do a part two. Sure.
right on, right on. Well, thanks for tuning in to, what is this show called, Mr. Jerome?
Jerome's Music Journal.
All right. Episode 2 right there.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.